Yeah, game crashed. Second crash overall. Not very infrequent. Not frequent enough that it would bother me in any way. Overall, very stable game. Well, not very stable since it does crash here and there, but you have to play a very long session, and I've probably played a few hours now without exiting the game, so
Thou shalt regret.
not entirely unexpected. Okay, a little bit to south. Base of the clock tower would be here, right?
Thy trespass.
We share flesh and blood, thief. It is through your eye that I see. Painful, was it not? To lose it. That's why you are the one. Only you are attuned to me. And only I can initiate the failsafe.
He's out there on the road.
I know where I am. I need to go south. Did I go south? I went south.
Say, Garrett, you got a sec? Could you sign something for a friend of mine? Sort of an autograph kind of thing? Her name's Marla too, just by coincidence. Anyway, she's just wild about me actually knowing you, but you're busy right now, I see.
Wait a minute. What is this? Place to
What you
dump
up to
loot?
today, Garrett?
Yeah, whatever.
Never.
Still have 10,000. Life. Could you...
Answer yourself or you lose them.
I saw what you did. There's people to deal with people like you.
Time to die!
Where exactly do I need to go? North.
Where do you think you're going?
I'm going north.
That's it! I'm gone! Perfect! Rex!
So far, so good. Now there's only 2 artifacts left to place.
Something is here, taunts me, mocks me, and will die.
Not again. What's all this? Someone hiding outside there! Tis an attack!
He's killing you.
Coward! Ouch! I can't see! I can't see!
Looking for something special today?
Can I give me more
Let me
healing
know,
potions?
Hey.
Gotcha! Got him!
Hey, it ain't polite to strike a lady.
Hey, you know...
2 items missing. The paw. So we're going back, I guess.
Hiding, are you?
Yeah. This is an easier way to get to the docks. So, head east and south.
Hey!
Blood.
Thou shalt regret. Looks you out!
second to last. Where was it here? Place the paw on the first landing marker in the docks. I have no idea what that is. I have no recollection of it either, so I'm assuming it's somewhere. Probably not in Pagan territory though. Well, we'll just keep an eye out on the hag.
The failsafe. The last of all glyphs. Have things become so bad then so soon? Tempting is the power of the cliffs, and weak are little humans like you.
What is this thing? I will avenge you!
Where's the monument?
Noise, little noise, but you give yourself away.
Seriously. No. Go in and just look for the base.
Clicky, clicky, what is the noise?
I have no idea what I'm doing. But I'm assuming it's here because the witch was here. That's pretty much my only reasoning.
Scared. Yes, you are scared. You should be. Listen, yes, listen. Step, step. Too long to plague me.
Ah. Doesn't really look much of a monument.
Four of the five are all set. I can't stop now.
Cannot see, blind cannot see.
You're a statue, you don't really see through eyes. But whatever. Details.
The other sentients, so sad and simple. Most of them cannot even speak yet. But we are fascinating to have our potential. I thought that Hag was trying to reunite us all. But oh, now I see the final. It is the thief who wishes to unlock our powers. Either way, our destiny approaches.
Destiny approaches. Sounds good to me.
Now for the last artifact, the Eye. Let's hope this final glyph does something useful. If I never see another glyph again, it'll be too soon.
Back with you. Old. Oh, so old. All ruined.
Did you see that? Never noticed it before. How could a building just...
goblins at the very stroke of midnight.
Is that the black gold team there? Hurry, before someone else...
Someone at the window.
They've all gone. What will we do? What will become of the city without us?
Returned his chalice to us.
Them Jacknall's paw. It becomes he back to us.
Let go of me.
That's not for you.
Please, sir, I'm hungry.
You have talent. It's no easy thing to see a keeper. Especially one who does not wish to be seen.
Yeah, Thief Deadly Shadows. I'm going to load a game just in case the game wants to do some kind of introductory sequences or other things, so I don't want to get interrupted. that reminds me. They might also be flickering there, so who knows. Don't particularly want to see it. Yeah, Thief Deadly Shadows. I played the first, second, and third. Now, I haven't played the what was it, 2014 Thief. I'll probably get it at some point, but I'm no hurry to try to play it. Out of these three games, I'd say Thief 2 is by far the best. I would say this is better than Thief 1. It's not better in every sense, but as an overall experience and what it achieves, it is better than Thief 1. Thief 1 has a few strong points, but it's sort of still sort of trying to find what type of a game it really tries to be. Thief 2 pretty much universally just improves upon the formula of Thief 1 on all aspects. I think I said the only worst aspect was the ending mission compared to Thief 1. And I'm not sure how would I rate this end compared to those two. I'd actually think this is the worst. For a couple of reasons. First, the glyphs have really played no actual place in what we're doing at any point. That's not really. I'm not saying that as much of a criticism. You have to have a contained plot, so it could have been almost anything. That's not why I have a problem with this. I have a problem with this because it's in the first game we defeated basically a god by being a thief, the final mission. In the second one, we turned the main villain's plan on himself by basically adjusting few things here and there. When he was thinking, he'll basically initiate his master plan. Because of the alterations we had made, he ended up destroying himself. Here, we basically ran around the city, nothing particularly interesting happened, and we sticked items into places. The villain always knew what we were up to and was trying to stop us. I can't say this is a horrible piece of shit, it's that there's nothing particularly strong or clever about it. It's a generic RPGs stuff that you see in every game. The only thing that could have made this a bit more generic would have been if there would have been a rune of wind, fire, air and earth that we had to place over the city, and you get the idea. It's just dull, and it's not clever in any way. We don't really use our thievery to outsmart or outmaneuver the opponent. We just sort of sneak around a little bit and chuck items here and there. And that's it. So although I don't think the ending is crap, I would still say the first game actually has the best ending, at least in conceptual level. Then comes the second, then comes this. This is still a much more enjoyable to play in many ways than the ending in the second game, but it's a better ending nonetheless. The implementation has stumbles there, but I still think it's the better ending, plus a stronger ending. The game itself, I did say it, I would rank it in the middle. It's not as good as Thief 2, mainly because I'm not sure if I can put a mainly on it. This looks better, but in some ways I can't say I feel any kind of atmospheric difference, even though this clearly looks superior as far as craft is concerned. But it's at the same time it's not worse. There's a lot of minor improvements over Thief 2, so Thief 2 by no means is superior in all aspects. However, as a thievery game and how the missions are play out, how the levels are organized, how the maps are done, how all the central core elements that I feel that are part of a Thief game, Thief 2 does it better. Looting is more easy, the map is far superior, I mean the map system. The maps, as in the layouts, are also far superior. They're not break into minor sections, but overall they're actual buildings. A lot of nice secrets all over the place here, and to keep things interesting, very few secrets here. At the same time, I wouldn't know if I missed them, because no one tells me how many secrets are in a level, which I don't like. Because it's usually a sort of a self-achievement thing, trying to find all secrets in a level or something like that. But if you don't know how many there are in the first place, it's a bit hard to do. Basically going to have to rely on some kind of online walkthrough to get everything. Either way, I don't particularly like... There are little things in the mission descriptions I also don't particularly like to get these 2 special items. Or it's not a bad thing, but it's it lacks the small things, the little bit of flavoring compared to Thief 2. It's just generic. You sort of don't go after specific items or really care what they are. You go after special items. They're always the special items. It's not terribly badly done in the actual missions, though. There's usually at least one piece of paper telling what's the deal with the specialty items. So it's not god-awfully bad generic, it's just a little bit worse than Thief 2. And that's not exactly the worst possible thing ever. It's just why I can't really... It's one of those things that amounts to the pile of things that are the reason why I don't like this as much as Thief 2. It's just not that good of a thievery game compared to Thief 2. However, this has some things that Thief games don't have before. Are they enough to offset the difference? And I'd say no. The problem with them, like the faction things, pagans, Hammerites, is that they're better in theory than they are in practice in the game. We stole some holy relics from the Hammerites, and as a consequence of their full hostility, we had to kill like, what, 3 bugs and a couple of undead. Something that's totally trivial. There's no real... We could have basically probably steal everything and then just raise it before we arrive at any of the major Hammerite sites. Or it's just too easy to manipulate. There's not enough impact and choice there. Same with the... Yeah, it's nice to be able to move around in the city. However, at the same time, it's largely filler. I'm not saying it's shit by any means, but it seems to... I feel there should have been some kind of a central place where you could possibly gain missions during the day, instead of just having to rely on going through the same areas again and again and again in the hopes of getting something new pop up. It's like doing your daily chores. It's not something I want to add it in a game. If that's what the gameplay turns into, I'd rather not play at all. So it's the main quest line that carries the boring chores in this game. I don't think it strengthens the game how it could. So even though it's nice to move around, it could have been done better, I feel. Same with the faction system. more of an impact, more of a consequence. Same with the looting system. The problem with the looting system is that just by doing the main quest missions, you have more money than you could ever utilize in this game. You simply don't have anything to spend the money on. Yeah, it's nice to be able to afford the basic equipment, but it's like playing Elder Scrolls game like Skyrim, Morrowind, and being only able to buy potions or something like that, ammunition for your bow, and there's nothing to save or look forward to. So if there were some kind of goals like that, the climbing clubs, for example, was nice. However, it's a shame it was the only nice thing they had. Is that if you'd have some of those special items, some kind of proper upgrades or things to look forward to, going the extra mile to get the extra gold to be able to afford both those upgrades and the constant amount of new equipment you have to buy would have been, I think, much more desirable. Now it's sort of do you want to do this pointless busy work at the side when you play this thief storyline or whatnot? And if I'd known what I know now, I would have not bothered with it at all. I probably burned a couple of hours at least just footing around the city and trying to find places, getting lost or whatever. And I don't feel like that was time well spent. What else? What else? What else? It's yeah, I feel I can, in my mind, this place is very well in the middle. There's some flux here and there because the few ideas like the wall climbing in certain areas and things like that are very attractive. Not sure how feasible that would really be. I mean, I think I'd rather have taken the rope arrows, but it's not a bad thing, and they just didn't remove the climbing aspect entirely. They just altered it differently, I guess, to basically force the player to not go wandering around and try to get to places where they shouldn't. These buildings, for example, don't feel like they feel like they're just walls, and they try to very hard to sort of constrain where you can actually go here. So it doesn't, even though there's a lot of free city area, it doesn't feel like you're free to maneuver in the city area. So still, I wouldn't say this is even an okay experience. This is a fairly good experience with some glitchiness. The biggest problem is the fucking floating around, but a couple of ways at least that I discovered that you can get rid of it. Just drop down somewhere or draw a bow and then uncock it and you're walking again. But I don't get it why it happens in the first place. But that's the most annoying thing that you have to constantly deal with. This is like, even if you remove the annoyances, I still think this would probably be somewhat below Thief 2, but it would definitely improve on things, especially rewrite the map system to be full screen more or less. Should have it be more detailed, maybe not in this kind of city maps type of environment, but maybe a system where you could buy the thief system where you have your guy you basically turn your loot into would be more centralized. And you could buy maps to areas, things like that. Not maps like this, but professionally made maps for an area where someone has probably scouted around and have got out a blueprint out of somewhere. Something that is actually useful than this very basic type of map making that they're doing. A proper floor plan to a site, that sort of thing. I really miss that. Here, yeah, like this. There are proper maps, clearly. That would have been something to or one of those things that you could have sunk money into. You can get maybe some kind of basic rubbish map somewhere, you can find it, or you can spend money to get the highly detailed blueprint version. And every map I really wish there was a location indicator of some sort. All the goddamn alleyways look more or less the same to me. Without the compass is pretty much mandatory at the lighting gem in this game. In the previous one, not that much because you have the location indicator, still very useful. But here I would consider it more of a mandatory thing because, Jesus Christ. If I'd have to start the game again now, I guess I could more or less know where I'm going there without the map and things, because there aren't that many places. There's like 4 or 5 places per map. But yeah, for a guy just starting blindly in this game, this is a very easy game to get lost in places, really have a trouble here and there, find out what the hell the game actually expects you to do. I guess my biggest genuine gripe about that would be the mystical window that's clearly not interactable, but you are required to go next to it to start a cutscene. The trouble I had to find the alternative entrance to the museum, I'll take full blame for that. I should have looked more closely at some of the passageways next to the museum, but at the same time I still miss I don't understand why they took basically light sources out of the game. Even the Thief 2 had the flares, and they were very useful at some point, simply because you can't see shit in this game if you're in a dark place. You can't see any details, so even though I am a thief and I like shadows, that does not mean I don't like to see things. You can get around it with the fire arrows when you draw them, but your movement speed is immediately in a crawl, so it's not really a viable option. So yeah. Still, overall, the game it's a good playthrough, I suppose. It's not great, it's not terrible by any means either. It's I wouldn't say even it's okay. It's a good stealth gaming experience, and that's it. I suppose I could have been more pleased with it if I hadn't played Thief 2 just before this. So it's sort of a, you notice the downgrade in a lot of things, and it sort of bothers you because you immediately start to miss them so badly. At this point you're sort of adjusted to it once you played this once, but at the same time the game isn't good enough, and the options that you are presented with the faction choices and other things, the extra missions that I suppose you could do, they're not enough to make me want to play the game again. So I in no way can say the game is great. If it's a great game, at least just from a personal opinion, I usually at least would be okay to keep playing it on. Here, there's really, I don't feel any need to do that. Even in the museum, which was supposed to be the big, high security area, compared to what a high security place was in Thief 2, it was sort of weak. The patrols are, I guess, everything happens on a smaller scale here. There's no large areas where there are multiple patrols going or things like that, and they're just going on a very narrow area back and forth. That's what the guards are there for. It's the security system absolute joke. Yeah, and it's actually fairly weak compared to all the cameras and robots that were and automated defense systems that were in Thief 2. So this is in many ways again back to much more boring gameplay of 2 of Thief 2. I mean of Thief 1, where there's a very narrow selection of enemies and enemy types. There were basically different type of living creatures that were more or less humanoid all, and then there were the statues, and that's it. It's not bad, but compared to Thief 2 again, it's a much more narrow selection of opponents, and that's how it feels like. Not a terrible game, but sort of a watered down version of Thief 2, with a few innovations.